Mohamed Kudus to Manchester United. There's a different name. There's something else to talk about. How would that work with Manchester United? I'm going to go through that story, break that down and where that's come from, why we're even mentioning it today. Massive update last night on Emi Martinez from two different sources with two different stories. It's Ben Jacobs against Fabrizio Romano on Manchester United's goalkeeping front and what's happening there. Big updates on Bryan Mbeumo expected to come with a lot of positivity floating around last night about where we're at with Bryan Mbeumo. Marcus Rashford moving to a club in the Premier League. Another update on that's circulating this morning. Have Manchester United pivoted already in this transfer window? Lots of talk and lots of obvious signs about Manchester United's transfer strategy changing a little bit, and we're now looking at other options, as in who we are going to go for, in what position. We'll talk about that and get your thoughts on that as well. Something that I've noticed and I've seen people talking about, other journalists as well, on that side of things with United. So, got plenty to get through this morning, starting with the big news regarding Kudus and Emi Martinez. I want to get your thoughts on this. Get into the live chat, everybody. This is Forever United TV. The 19th of June. June is nearly up, people. We've got 11 days left to go, and then the real transfer window opens on the 1st of July. All the contracts end. Everybody leaves Manchester United. Everybody's contracts that need renewing are talked about. It is one of them big days, and pre-season starts. So it is a bit of a countdown right now to a lot of changes that might actually happen. Let's get into the news first of all, though. Get your comments in on everything, as always, please, everybody. Hope you had a great night last night. It's getting warm, isn't it? Manchester's going to be baking hot today like the rest of the country is. Yes, stay safe. There are some weather warnings out there, crazy as it sounds. It's only 27 degrees, but for English people, that's a lot. And we do tend to cook and let's just say, over-exaggerate what is happening out there with the weather. But a nice change at least, anyway. A nice change would be very handy for Man United fans in the transfer window, i.e. make a signing. There's been plenty of talks and there's been plenty of speculation over this last couple of weeks. Since the Bryan Mbeumo bombshell that was dropped by David Ornstein, it has gone a little bit he said, she said type of transfer news for Manchester United. I'll admit that it hasn't been great, but it does look like Mbeumo's moving closer. And there are lots of serious noises coming out regarding a big position at Manchester United, which is the goalkeeper and the striker. Now, Mohamed Kudus, first of all, this really isn't new. This was mentioned a few weeks back as a target for Manchester United. And it's come from The Guardian and Steinberg, who has mentioned a couple of things before with Manchester United. I don't think it's the greatest source, I'm going to be honest with this right now. But again, it's another point as to why Manchester United might be thinking something different regarding the striker option. Now, Kudus can play as a striker. He has played as a striker. He's played the majority of his games this season for West Ham in a central role, either off the striker or as a striker as well. He's a great player. He's a good carrier of the ball. But I honestly, when you look at Kudus, I look at what's been quoted already. I was just in the thinking that he was going to end up going to the Saudi Pro League. I know he's a target of United's. I know that name has come up again because Manchester United are struggling for a striker. I don't think Kudus is the answer as a striker, but he's an option for Manchester United in a rotating system, possibly. I'm thinking outside the box here. It's not what I want. I'm just talking about what's actually been reported. Why United might actually be linked to Kudus in the first place is simply because of his capabilities as a versatile forward. And that's it. I don't like the idea. I'm going to be clear with that from the get-go. I don't like the thought of him coming in right now with what we've already got. I think it's a waste of time. I see the qualities in him, but I would have said it was either Cunha, Mbeumo or Kudus. To be honest, two of the three, if you were going to buy two 10s or two forwards. There's a lot of talk at the moment regarding Manchester United now as an option, could be using a rotational forward system. I think Laurie Whitwell even mentioned this yesterday, that it could be Cunha, it could be Mbeumo going forward. In the front line. They could play as a striker. I don't like it. I would rather have that master of one trade. Like I've always said, I don't want jack of alls. I want masters of one. And that would be ideal for Manchester United. We have to get that number 9. And the news on Kudus would be a big shift for Manchester United. Because I think it sounds strange. And don't take this the wrong way. A waste of money for Manchester United. It's just my own opinion. I know what qualities this player has got. I know what he could bring to Manchester United. But you are about to sign Bryan Mbeumo and you've already got Matheus Cunha. we don't need MOHAMMED Kudus. And if he is being thought of as another option in that central role, I just think move away from it. I wanted to bring it up more for that, not that this deal is getting anywhere near close. This would be a big shock if United went in for someone like Kudus. It's another option. And that, I like to just bring the news, but I like to bring a sort of variety to these shows as well. But Kudus, I think, is an example of Manchester United thinking outside the box in that front line for me. I say it again, I don't like it. I can see why he might be linked to United, why we might actually have him on our list. I think West Ham would charge too much. I don't think Manchester United have got the money in the first place to even get MOHAMMED Kudus, even at a reasonable deal. I think we're dealing here, if we were going to spend the money that West Ham are probably going to want for Kudus, I would go out and buy a striker. There's no point, I don't think, because, and again, like you could say, and you could talk about rotation, we don't need any more 10s. Worst case scenario, and Bruno goes to AFCON, like people are worrying about now, you've got Bruno to step in, you've got Mount there, you've got Ahmad there as well. There is no need to over-dramatise that front row and make it this complicated mess of rotate. Look, just get Mbeumo done and go out and get a striker. I think that's the most important thing right now for Manchester United. Kudus, I just don't think fits Manchester United at all with what we're already doing. Like, if you said to me Kudus was coming in before Cunha and Mbeumo came through the door, then I'd be like, I can see why United are doing that. Right now, I don't understand it. I know he's a target. I know he's a link. I know he's been linked to Manchester United. I know it is a genuine sort of interest from the football club. But with what's being said and what's being reported and the money going around and what Manchester United have got, how we're struggling with moving players on, I just don't see how this happens in a million years for Manchester United. I want to cover everything. I want to bring up every story. I want to get opinions on stories like this, get your thoughts on players. It's outside of the box, completely outside of the box for Manchester United and what we might do this summer. But I just don't, for me, see how Man United would have the money and why we would spend it on a similar player to what we've already got. I know we can play centrally and it's a little bit different to Mbeumo and Cunha, but I'm just stopping it there. I don't think we need this type of player right now with what we've already done in the transfer window. The links from The Guardian are genuine, I do believe, because I've seen this before. I've seen Kudus being linked with Manchester United before, but I'm sorry, I just don't see how this materialises for Manchester United. I really don't. But again, it's a story that is there, and I just feel like with what Laurie Whitwell said yesterday as well, that was an interesting bit in terms of the rotation of the forward. Are Man United moving away from a striker? Are we pivoting to other areas of what we need right now? I think it would be absolutely criminal if we did. And I know there's plenty of time left in this window, and I'm not like scaremongering or anything like that, but I think there is genuine thought in Manchester United that there could possibly, with Brian Mbeumo coming in, be the shift in tactic in this transfer window to maybe look at midfielders rather than another striker. It would be along the lines of, obviously, Mbeumo can do a role up front. We know he can play striker, so can Matheus Cunha. But they're not natural number 9s. And then you're looking at, really, bringing somebody in to do a role that you didn't originally want him to do. That's how I see it. You brought the 2 10s in specifically to work in them key roles for Manchester United in Ruben's system in the 2-10. That's Mbeumo, that's Cunha. That's that area of the pitch sorted. Big positions and players who know how to play in this system and in this formation. That's been the key. And you start moving them forward and you start changing things around, I think that's when it gets complicated and it starts to break down again. You have to back what you're doing. You have to have the intent to go out and make these signings happen. And that is a number 9 has to come in for Manchester United. I said all along, I said, look, if United cannot get the main target that they want, and just to go on quickly to Victor Gyökeres, Arsenal have now officially told Victor Gyökeres, his representatives, apparently, that he is a number 2 option behind Benjamin Sesko. So Gyökeres has made his list, Arsenal have made theirs, and Gyökeres isn't even a top target for Arsenal now. So that, I don't know what happens with that. We touched on Gyökeres yesterday. I don't think it changes anything with Manchester United's stance for Victor Gyökeres at all. I think he's moving further and further away from Manchester United by the day. He clearly wants Champions League football, and Manchester United are not going to pay what Sporting want anyway. So I don't see there being any movement in Victor Gyökeres. Ekitike, it's gone quiet for a couple of days. Obviously, United, like Romano said last night, have just invested an interest in Ekitike. And Ornstein too also saying, look, Manchester United are aware of the conditions now, but there is no movement at all. So there's nothing on Gyökeres. We've moved away from him. We're not going for Victor Osimhen. Ekitike's gone cold. We're standing our ground. Are United moving? Are we pivoting to a different style? In terms of, not a different style, a different strategy in this transfer window where we're looking at a more of a make-weight striker coming in. I daren't say false nine. I don't know if that's going to work in this system. I've always said it wouldn't, personally. But still, when you're looking at other options now and the other names that are coming up, Manchester United all of a sudden talking about midfielders, talking about goalkeepers, talking about other attacking midfielders that could be there and do a job for United. I think we just need to find another different type of striker then. Just find an out-and-out striker that's going to work. I mean, do you know what I mean? Like, when it gets to this point now, if you're asking me, who would I bring in, MOHAMMED Kudus or a Dusan Vlahovic? This is the situation that I'm trying to describe right now and why I'm getting a little bit worried about us not getting a number 9. Still time, and I think we still will get one, but there is that little bit of doubt in me that when you start hearing names like Kudus come out, I think the bigger story is, what are United thinking rather than the actual player coming? Are we actually looking at other players now rather than these strikers? Because we're running out of strikers. Dusan Vlahovic or Kudus right now, if Mbeumo comes in, is Vlahovic every single day of the week for me because it makes more sense. We don't need Kudus. And hopefully United don't get tempted in because he might be able to make a deal out of this. I don't think West Ham would even entertain Manchester United, to be honest. But I just wanted to cover that story from the start just to make sure it was covered. I like to make sure that everything is brought up and give everyone a chance to have a comment on this. Kudus is better than Mbeumo. I disagree on that one, Shine. I do. James Mullins, at least the Americans coming here won't get... what's that? Oh, no, it's totally something different there. I shouldn't have even mentioned that one. Manny with a super chat. I see him transformed as one of the wing-backs. Kudus is a wing-back. I mean, he can play out wide. I don't know. I can't see why. Again, thinking outside the box, I get it. I do. But priority number 1, surely. Let's get this out-and-out striker in and make sure that we're getting the right people through the door. And it's going to work better if we have that actual striker option there, I think, with the other players. You can rely on Cunha and Mbeumo to do their other jobs properly, rather than trying to make something happen elsewhere. You get what I'm saying with this? I just hope we don't go down this road right now. Think about Mbeumo, Cunha, Zirkzee, Ahmad Kudus rotating as the front 5. Amorim will do things that potentially changes the game. It's do or die for Ruben. I think outside the square. Yeah, I get it, Manny, I do. But again, it's do or die. He doesn't need to be trying to think outside the box when there are options there that completely nail the box shut. I think it just makes more sense to bring in an actual striker. Okay, I can understand all the talk. I can understand the ideas behind it. I can. But later down the line, maybe. Kudus as a wing-back, are we not already sorted in this area? Because if Kudus goes at wing-back, then... yeah, he could go right wing-back, but that's Ahmad then competing alongside Mbeumo and Cunha. Unless you push one of Mbeumo or Cunha into that 9 and use Ahmad as your other 10, you're starting to really go outside of the box there then. But that is something that could possibly be on the cards. I don't know. I'm just wondering why it's actually there and the story's circulating. But hey, we'll get some more comments on that as we go. But I do want to move on. Vardy incoming, Adam, relax. Yeah, Jamie Vardy. Honestly, at this point, I would, if we can't get a striker in, you're probably looking at the likes of Vlahovic as an option for Manchester United. If Patrick Schick by Leverkusen, I think ticks the boxes that we need right now. If he's cheap enough, which apparently he is, it's less than 30 million. I know he's 29. I know his time is coming. But to have a player there at United, a little bit older as an option, as a rotating striker, to come in this season and do the job for Manchester United, what's necessary, then you could probably go out and buy 2 big players next summer if he does do that job. And by that, I mean another striker and a central midfielder that we really need. This, I think, is where United now need to be clever in this window. you're not going to get the top targets. You're not going to be able to get your top targets for the best price. I think we always knew there was a chance of this happening. We're negotiating a deal for Bryan Mbeumo, and that's taking everything out of us right now. Once he's in, I think we'll personally see a bit of a change in tactics in this transfer window. I do. I think it's going to start pivoting a different direction, and we could possibly see maybe a midfielder come in, maybe a cheaper striker come in. I do think that we have to get a striker, though. We do need backup. I don't want it to seem like it's a desperate shout to bring in someone cheaper rather than a top target, but I think still there are sensible options there for Manchester United. So that, I think, is where we're actually at right now in this transfer window. I do think maybe there is a shift probably on the horizon, and United are not hanging around. Remember, they're not wasting time on one player unless they know that that player is definitely up for Manchester United and we can get him at the right price. I think we've seen this in Victor Gyökeres recently. I think we've seen it. Like, we've moved away from Osimhen quickly. We've moved away from Gyökeres very quickly. We found out what's happening with Ekitike. He's now on the back burner. And we're just going to have to wait this out now. So it's going to be interesting to see if United, once Mbeumo is done, what the next move is. Because that's what everyone's waiting for. And everybody's talking about it. Could it be a goalkeeper? Emi Martinez is big in the news again. You know I've been all over Emi Martinez. You know I've been talking about him on several videos now. He is a top target for Manchester United if the opportunity comes around. Now, Ben Jacobs was very, very big on this last night. Very big indeed. And Ben Jacobs was actually talking with Fabrizio Romano on the same show, in fact, when talking about what's happening with the Manchester United goalkeeping situation as well. So Ben Jacobs talking about Emi Martinez, and his say on this was, Emi Martinez has made it clear that he is interested in signing for Manchester United, and Aston Villa have refused to rule it out. It could take close to 40 million though to sign him. United have not made a final call on replacing Andre Onana. Romano went one step further on that one and said Manchester United will only sign a goalkeeper if Onana leaves. I don't see United signing another keeper to provide competition for Onana. Now, The Athletic have said something completely different to this, which is the United will buy a number 2 keeper because they are looking to move Bayindir on, and that keeper would be competition for Andre Onana. I still, in my head, cannot get around the fact that we are defending Andre Onana and why this club is trying to make this keeper something that he really isn't, or make him out to be something. We're not going to bring someone in to be competition with Andre Onana, the worst goalkeeper, one of the worst keepers in Manchester United's history. We're not trying to move him on. We're not trying to change this around at Manchester United this summer. I don't get it. I really don't get it. Why would you not be looking to replace a major issue in your squad? I don't really believe in the side of Romano on this one. And it's not because everybody knows I want Martinez in. It's not because I think he would be a great keeper for Manchester United. I just think that Manchester United are clearly going to bring in another 2 goalkeeper. Like, Ruben knows that the goalkeepers this season have been nowhere near the standard that Manchester United need. And that goes to Bayindir as well as Andre Onana. It's not just Onana here. Onana is an issue for United simply because he's on a lot of money. He's cost Manchester United a lot of money, and Bayindir hasn't. That's the easier target out, is Bayindir for United. And then you would have to replace Bayindir. You have to replace him. So United will be bringing in another goalkeeper. I don't know why Romano has said it like that, to be honest. I really don't understand his angle on it at all, because everybody knows that Manchester United will need a new goalkeeper this summer. And if it's a number 2 or a number 1, at least one goalkeeper will come in for Manchester United. We've been linked to about a dozen goalkeepers this summer alone. Emi Martinez saying that he would be on board with a move to Manchester United is just the same as a couple of years ago when we brought Andre Onana, but we didn't decide to go for Emi Martinez. We decided to go for Andre Onana because Erik ten Hag had worked with Onana before, and that's his whole transfer strategy. He doesn't know how to work anything else. He only knows about players that he's played with before. So that's what we got stuck with Ten Hag. And now the problem is, and I think what Romano is saying and what a lot of other journalists, like for instance from The Athletic, are saying here is, I think they're just covering themselves by saying, because they know United are only 2 years in, they know nobody's going to pay the money that United want for Andre Onana. There has been no significant interest in him as of yet. So it's easy to come out and say on shows or through the media or through articles that United right now are not going to get Emi Martinez. They're not going to get another goalkeeper. They are going to back Andre Onana because it's easier to back him while they know that nobody's really interested in him. So I think what they're doing here is just talking in general about what is happening at United financially. If there is no clear pathway out of Manchester United for Andre Onana, they're not going to go big on Emi Martinez. They're not going to say that Manchester United are looking for another goalkeeper because the obvious is in front of them. United have got Andre. They've got Baindir still. They're trying to move Baindir on. They've signed Tom Heaton up to another 1 year deal to be the number 3 goalkeeper. And as it stands, United do have 3 goalkeepers. All not good enough for Manchester United at the highest level, as we know. And I think that's where the journalists are running this story from. Emi Martinez, I think factually, would want to come to Manchester United. And it's easy for Ben Jacobs to say that as well. And look, I would love Emi Martinez to come to Manchester United. At 40 million, I don't see it happening. At 25 million and a deal being made, possibly, and Manchester United using some other players that could actually make this deal move forward, I could see that happening. I can. I really could. Like if, for instance, Marcus Rashford comes back onto the scene, more on him in a moment, or for Jadon Sancho, maybe Garnacho could possibly be a target for Aston Villa as well. If one of them deals starts to materialise, then United would obviously, if Villa haven't got a lot of money to spend, could use one of these players in a move to get Emi Martinez over the line. And there could be not so much a swap, but you take him and we will take him at this price sort of deal coming. So I think people are just talking about Emi Martinez now because this could actually materialise later down the line in the transfer window. So they can always go back and say, we said this back here, that United were interested in him. It's like the Kudus one. It's like Steinberg basically is saying that United are interested in Kudus. Could something happen later down in the window? Maybe, but look, he's covered himself with what he said. And I think this is where the reports on Emi Martinez are. They know that he would come to Manchester United. And I think that is very, very, very clear to, and I feel, is why this story is circulating at the moment. I've got quite a lot of other bits to bring out actually here in a moment, but I want to get your thoughts on everything first of all. Talk to me about Kudus, talk to me about Emi Martinez, everybody. The possibilities, the likelihood, what do you think is going to happen? Get your thoughts in the comments section now, please, everyone. Let's just bring up a super chat from Craig. Thank you, Craig. Liverpool cooked with a front three of Salah, Firmino and Mane, number 9. So is that a number 9? No number 9 as such. Imagine Kudus, Cunha and Mbumo. You could say that. You could, but is that the Ruben system? He usually has an out-and-out number 9. And that's the difference. It's a different 4-3-3 to the system that Ruben plays in the 3-4-3, isn't it? It's not quite the same. It doesn't work in the same way. I get what you're saying, Craig. And obviously, never say never. And the possibilities are always going to be there. But still, right now, can we expect this to actually happen with what money Manchester United have got? And that's where I say no. I don't think United have got enough to get a Kudus in with everything else that they want to get done. Let's get a few more in. A half-decent keeper you can get for 20 million. You could improve our midfield with Ndidi for as little as 9 million. I don't rate Ndidi anymore, and I don't think United should be going for him, to be honest. He can actually do a good job with Agate and allow Mainu, Mounts and Bruno freedom. Where would Bruno, Mount and Mainu play if Agate is playing alongside Ndidi? Because your front line is already taken. So you're dropping Mount, Bruno and Mainu, really, if you're going to play Agate and Ndidi. I don't get what you're saying there, Barbo. It doesn't make sense for me. Kudus, we don't need him. And Emi Martinez is a clown. Don't need him. Agree and disagree completely. Emi Martinez, I'm sorry, he's one of the top 5 goalkeepers in the world, and I'm taking that shithousery all day long. We need characters like him. We do need characters like Emi Martinez. I would jump at the opportunity to get him into Manchester United. I would. To be fair, we could buy any keeper and it's an upgrade. Yeah, Luke, totally. We could be getting any goalkeeper and it be an upgrade right now. That's how it seems, doesn't it? I think that's pushing our desperation to try and get this actually done and over the line. I think, honestly, right now, Martinez, like I said, if United have got options for Villa and there's possibly a chance somebody else could go the other way, then you could actually say that Martinez could happen. At 40 million, no, I don't think it will happen. I don't. If the price comes down, yes, I do think it is on the cards for Manchester United. I do. But, again, it's a long shot right now because Manchester United do have other areas of the pitch they want to start first. It's like the big topic at the moment is the players that Manchester United are looking to bring in later down. The priority position is that striker. And we seem to be further and further away from bringing a striker in at Manchester United at the moment. It's scary where we're actually at because there are plenty of strikers out there that United could have got if we were in the Champions League. But the finances and the situation with players now with us struggling to move them on is really starting to slow down the striker talk. So this is where I think we're actually at right now. And Mbeumo gets announced and Mbeumo comes in. And then I feel Manchester United will just try and do everything they can to get the players out. I think that's next on the agenda. Knowing what the options are up front. Knowing that they've probably got a little bit of time over the next few weeks to try and bring a striker in. I think that's where Manchester United are at right now. I think we're in a position where we know, like I said, what's happening with Gyökeres. We know what's happening with Ekitike. We know other strikers out there. We've talked with Vlahovic. I think it's getting Mbeumo in and make sales. And then we know what everyone else's position is. We know all of the options we've got. And then going off them sales that are made, I think it's quite clear then the options are there for us in the forward line, what we could get possibly in midfield, and still then, and I think it's criminal how it still is there, but goalkeeper is not priority when it should be. I think it should be right up there as Man United's priority, but from everything that's been said and just what I'm reading, this is how I see it playing out. I think it will be a case that Manchester United are going to try and get a striker in, / attacking player again after Mbeumo, maybe a midfielder, and then it comes to the goalkeeper. And we know from the talks Manchester United are trying to move Bayındır on. He's got interest from Turkey. From his side of things, Bayındır isn't keen on moving back to Turkey at the moment. So we'll see how that one develops. Obviously, you've got to deal with Vitek. Look, at the end of the day, Man United's goalkeeping situation, and I've said all along, United could sell Vitek for pure profit and maybe use that money elsewhere in the forward line and stick with Onana for another season. Get a number 2 in who's really cheap, who might compete with Andre Onana. Or Vitek could come in and be United's number 2. And we spend no money on a goalkeeper and we move forward that way. And Vitek might get his chance at Manchester United. And there's one position covered without even doing any work. But why are Manchester United looking at so many different goalkeepers if they'd have thought that Vitek could do a job? I don't know what it is at United and why they aren't really thinking about Vitek, and the talk hasn't been there of him coming back and possibly being a number 2 if you want to sell Bayındır on. Something or some opinion of him is clearly that he isn't good enough. I would love to see him play a few more games just to be able to judge that for myself. But then again, has Ruben Amorim got the time to give Vitek an opportunity? If he doesn't hit the ground running, it costs Ruben Amorim. We know his neck is on the block after what happened last season. So that's the problem again. No time for Ruben to experiment this season. It has to be dead certs. Martinez is a dead cert. You know what you're getting. Prem proven, won the World Cup. Brilliant goalkeeper. Complete night and day compared to Andre Onana. Vitek is an unknown. A complete unknown. He's never been in the headlights. He's never been in that big pressure cooker situation. So you just don't know. And that's why United, I think, are looking at these players and why we're linked to everyone. They're going to see what we can get from the sales, and then they're going to buy everyone that they necessarily need, I think. Because, again, I just don't think we've got the time. I don't think we've got the time to actually make things happen. Mike Mignon is better than Martinez and is a cheaper and 3 years younger. Emi Martinez is a joke signing. Almac completely disagree on the joke signing side of things. Again, if anyone thinks that Martinez is a joke signing, honestly, I don't know where you're coming from with it. Mike Mignon is cheaper. He is younger. He's not better. But obviously, if United were looking for a deal, then that was an option, mate. I would definitely agree with that. I think Mignon is a good goalkeeper. And is he better than Andre Onana? Honestly, at the moment, I'm looking at Prem-proven goalkeepers right now. And I know a goalkeeper is a goalkeeper. And you can bring in other goalkeepers from abroad. But again, it's like, in a way, still like outfield players. When you've not had the hustle and bustle and the intensity of the Premier League, how hard the press is, how difficult it is under pressure, and the amount of games that you're playing week in, week out. Like, I still feel like even goalkeepers need to be judged. I think we do need to find a goalkeeper, ideally, that has played in the Premier League as well. I know it's slightly different to the intensity on an outfield player. I get that, but I think this is why Manchester United have actually looked at like the likes of Verbruggen as well, and goalkeepers like this, and Emi Martinez. This is why we were linked with James Trafford. This is why there's so many goalkeepers on Man United's list that have actually had Premier League experience. So, again, it comes later down in the transfer window, but still it has to be up there, right up there on Man United's priority list. Surely it really does. Right, let's move on to some more comments of yours regarding this. Manny in the chat says, goalkeeper is easy. You choose battle-hardened characters. They aren't 10s. Martinez is number 1. Vitek can be 2. In a perfect world, yes. But again, the circumstances and the scenario that United are in right now will always determine what happens, I think, in this window. And that is with the goalkeeping side of things as well. I just don't think United right now are in a position to make normal transfer decisions. There is a huge priority list. Martinez has a mistake in him, but he is still a top keeper with a top mentality, and we need mentality players right now. Get that completely. Characters is a key word in what a lot of people have been talking about with Manchester United and their transfer targets this summer. I think it's going to be a topic that comes up several times over this window. I agree with what Carl said there on that one. Thank you, everybody, already for all of your likes. Let's get them up, please, everyone. If you haven't given a like on the video already, please do. That would be great. We're talking everything from Mohamed Kudus to Emi Martinez. We're going to move on to the Rashford stories next. If you haven't already, also, please hit that subscribe button as well. Make sure that you are completely up to date with all of the news going around Manchester United right now. There is a lot going on. Quickly, just on the Victor Gyökeres situation. Victor Gyökeres, as we broke last night, has refused to clear the air talks with Sporting. That's just a bit of a mess at the moment. Arsenal have told him he's their number 2 option right now. A lot of people are using this to try and say that Gyökeres is actually now there and available for Manchester United, and we have a better chance. We don't. We won't pay Sporting's price, and Gyökeres still wants Champions League football. In fact, there was a big list of teams ahead of Manchester United that he would move to before United, simply because we haven't got Champions League football. He's made it very clear, and it has been right there at the top from the get-go. I'm not having a go at Victor Gyökeres here, but Romano also said it. If Man United were in the Champions League, this transfer probably would have been further down the line with United right now, but we're not. So I think we just need to let go of Gyökeres. I think that ship has completely sailed. And this was the bit that I was talking about from Laurie Whitwell earlier on as well. And Laurie Whitwell on Manchester United's striker situation after Mbeumo. I don't think that there is a thought that if Mbeumo and Cunha do happen, then those two could each potentially... I do think that there is a thought that if Mbeumo and Cunha do happen, as in Mbeumo coming through, then those two could each potentially occupy the number 9 role in different points. That from Laurie Whitwell, which I was talking about earlier on. That's what scared me. That's what scared me a little bit. It's like talk like that and people bringing up what Manchester United might do. That means that Rasmus stays. That means it's Rasmus and Chido and Xerxes as our strikers next season. Can we rely on that? Is there enough goal threat in both Mbeumo and Cunha to change Manchester United's fortunes around and push us forward this season? It's a big if, but I mean, 35 goals between them in the Premier League is still a lot more than what Manchester United were producing last season. Bruno will chip in, Mbeumo, Cunha, goals there. A bit more development in Chido, maybe Zirkzee, a second season in, will give us a few more. Ahmad being fit for a full season would give us an option also. I'm looking at where the goals are going to come from for Manchester United. And obviously, Mbeumo and Cunha do add a lot more firepower to Manchester United's starting lineup. And if there is a rotation and these players are chopping and changing, look, I could see it. It's still not taking me away from the fact that Man United need a bleeding striker. That is it. Manchester United are still in the race to sign MOHAMMED Kudus, but they face stiff competition from Chelsea, who have already opened talks. It was the story on Kudus from The Guardian, just to add a bit more context. Again, I'm moving away from that sort of signing. They are interested in him. Just get a striker, United. In fact, get into the comment section and let me know your strikers, please, everybody. I've said, what about Schick by Leverkusen as an option? There's Vlahovic there as an option as well. Is there anyone else you would bring in that you think could do a job for Manchester United? It's a tough one, isn't it, for the striker? Because it's a massive pressure position. And you're going to be judged on them goals, aren't you, straight away? That's the big concern, I think. With someone coming as a number 9 that isn't a big name. But then again, even if it is a big name, the pressure's going to be on the actual name, and people are expecting him to hit the ground running. And that's what it will be with Gyökeres or any other big target coming into Manchester United. I just think either way, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, aren't you, if you buy a striker in? Because it's being pinned up to be that ultimate position for United in this window. And it's going to be the one position I think that's going to be judged the most, because he had such a failure in Rasmus Højlund from last season. The next striker coming in has to be great in a way. It can't just be good. He has to be great. We've been starved of a decent forward for so long now that I think everybody is just... I say it again, it's a word and a phrase I use all the time. It's like chomping at the bit. Like, we just want to see a bit of quality up front. It has been so long since we had a decent number 9 at Manchester United. And I think the fans are waiting for it. They're waiting for something big to happen that might not come about. And that's a big concern. I think no Gyökeres and no Osimhen. We should be looking to loan a striker and wait a year. There's no point in spending on a risk just to wait it out. There you go. From Carl Laird, do we look at the loan market for a striker? Is that an option for Manchester United? Paying 40 million for a 33-year-old keeper is mental. He's good, but he is a bozo with lots of mistakes in him. We will sign a striker. Stop talking BS. Chill. It's not talking BS, it's talking facts and what's out there, mate. The biggest story today is Emi Martinez. I did say that we would also not sign him for 40 million. So thanks for the super chat, Helge. Take it back a little bit and chill with the having a go there a little bit, please. You do have to pay attention to what I say if you're going to come out and say, stop talking BS. Seriously, mate, come on. Like, thanks for the super chat, though. I'm sure I did say, and I think everyone would back me up, that I don't see United signing him for 40 million. That's not going to happen. But some people hear what they want to hear. I don't know. It's been a poor window, and yet again, Adam, we are lowering our standards. The standards, we need a striker, not a midfielder to go into the striker. Ruben's going to end up gone. He's got to get 4/5 wins out of the first 8 games, and we know who we've got in them first 8 games. I mean, that Arsenal one could be the absolute catalyst to the start of our season. If we beat Arsenal on the opening day, Arsenal, which we can do, we've got an all-right record against Arsenal at Old Trafford, then it opens it up for United. It opens it up, and that, I think, would set the season alight for us. It would be a big, big day, that opening day for United. If we can set, like, the tone, and we do manage to get a result from the Arsenal game, that would be absolutely huge for United and Ruben Amorim. Honestly, that there, it could be the perfect start to the season for United, that fixture coming out. It could. Full focus, massive game, no room. Getting Arsenal, well, they're cold still. Obviously, they'll have a pre-season, yes, but they'll have no momentum throughout the season. It could be the perfect fixture for Manchester United at the start of the season. I think, looking at it, when you break it all down, with what is happening, I just believe that it might actually be a blessing in disguise, maybe. Marcus Rashford, Newcastle. I mentioned this yesterday. And now it is only the Sun that are reporting this, but Marcus Rashford has got to rethink his options for this summer. We've talked about this. Nico Williams to Barcelona looks like a done deal. And they are not going to have the money and finances to bring Rashford in. There were some stories going around last night that he is desperate and willing to do anything in terms of his wages to try and make this happen and make this move happen for him to Barcelona. It just doesn't look like it's going to materialise, though, because United really are not going to accept what Barcelona are going to offer Manchester United. And even if it turned out to be a loan for Marcus Rashford, they're still not going to pay his wages. And that doesn't work for Manchester United either. Someone would have to be paying, like what Aston Villa paid last season, a good majority of Marcus Rashford's wages to actually make a loan work. And otherwise, it's just not going to happen for him. I do think he has to rethink, and I don't think Barcelona's an option for him anymore. Newcastle are in the headlines for being in for Marcus Rashford right now, and that being a potential move for the one-away striker from United. But again, it's going to come down to whether or not Manchester United can sell Marcus Rashford. And don't forget, if we sell Marcus Rashford, this is a big, big story. It's been forgotten about at the moment because of everything else going on. But Marcus Rashford represents 100% profit on the books for Manchester United. And a massive wage gone, a huge wage gone for Manchester United, which does open up the door for us to go out and get the striker that we want. Completely, just like that, gone. If Newcastle are interested in Rashford, I would be completely on board with that. Again, I've made my peace with Rashford going to a rival. We got to think about number one at the moment. We can't think about what might happen, or when we've got to deal with the now. We have to be looking at what works for Ruben Amorim and Manchester United. So if Rashford does go, then it just opens up a big gap for Manchester United to bring in a big player for Ruben Amorim, and that's what we have to prioritise. Look, we've got to pay off Marcus Rashford's contract. There won't be as much money available to us as the 40 million, but Manchester United would have that pure profit on the books, and financially for that year would allow United to go out and buy a Ekatike or a Gyökeres if we wanted to. That's how much Marcus Rashford's sale brings United, because that's what's on the books at the moment for us. It's near 20 million a year in wages for Marcus Rashford right now. And even if we make a small profit on Rashford and we have to pay off some of that contract, obviously, then it's still a massive chunk that United could use for PSR. Because, like we've said before, a £100 million player on 200 grand a week wages is approximately 20 million a year in PSR. Rashford going opens up that option completely. Whichever way you look at it, whether we're not making a lot at all because of the contract that he's on and what we have to pay out on him, which is why I don't think Manchester United are too bothered about Rashford being a loan. As much as they would like to sell him, Rashford going on loan might actually be beneficial for Man United still, because the majority of his wages are gone. There's another year gone off that contract, which then gives him a chance to play well, and maybe his value goes up. And 40 million next year or 50 million next season when he's 28 then turns into even more profit for United. It's about moving players off the books. Marcus Rashford off the books gives us a chance still to go out and buy that big player. And then obviously, like I said last night, with Manchester United saying goodbye to Maguire, saying goodbye to Sancho, saying goodbye to Casemiro, 100% guaranteed next summer, you've got that room then to go out and make other signings for Manchester United. Ornstein said it last night. Even loans for Manchester United right now help the books and help Manchester United bring players in. So it's time to get busy, I think, with everything and getting players out of the door for Manchester United. Let's get into a few more comments on this. What do you think will happen with Marcus Rashford? Can we sell him, or is it going to be a loan again? If there was a cut price for Marcus Rashford, what do you think? Leo there, I know. Marcus Rashford will be better for someone else. I know the joke is that sending him to someone else is not going to help that team. But look, he did all right for Villa. A lot better than what he would for Manchester United. I think he will be good for someone else. I said this before. I think Eddie Howe is absolutely perfect for Marcus Rashford. I think he's ideal, just like Emery is. And if Rashford has got any sense at all left in that head of his, or his people are looking in on the situation right now, they need to be looking at Marcus Rashford moving to another Premier League club like Villa or like Newcastle. That's what needs to happen at United at the moment. So yeah, that's what I want you to actually get to me in the comment section about. What do you think Marcus Rashford's future holds for him? Is it going to be a loan? Are we going to be able to sell him? What is the best club for him? Give me your thoughts on where you think Marcus Rashford should end up and where you think he will end up. Rashford has 3 years left. Paying off his contract would cost over 45 million, so selling him for 40 million loss, it loses money. 100% of zero profit is nothing. It doesn't work like that, Andrew. There's more complications to it. There's more things involved in it. I don't think it necessarily is out and out completely buying out of contracts. There is something else involved in it. It's not as black and white as that. Rashford will not do United any favours if he didn't want to play in the World Cup. He would sit it out all season. Yeah, this again could be the perfect opportunity for Manchester United to move him on. United would have done the calculations, and 40 million for Marcus Rashford will be enough to get him gone, and United will be able to bring somebody else in. Again, poor management. Giving Marcus Rashford a stupidly massive contract when he didn't really deserve it. It's stupid from Manchester United. Absolutely ludicrous. But again, this is now what we're going to have to pay the penalty for. Poor management has left Manchester United in a really, really tough position this summer. And you will see players just seeing out their contracts because they are so good. And that, for me, I feel, is why Manchester United are probably looking at, look, what do we have to do to clear the decks? And you might not make a lot of profit on any player right now at Manchester United. And all it does is clear the PSR. That's it. It just makes way for another contract and another instalments, another PSR instalments set up to come into Manchester United. That's it. Hi Adam, given that it is only 19th of June, we only need a minimum of 4 players. Plenty of time for this. The biggest issue is getting stuck with Rashford, Sancho, Anthony, Malacia. And Garnacho, mate, on that as well. Because like we did yesterday, that story on Ruben Amorim demanding that Garnacho, Anthony, Sancho and Rashford be sold because they're not going on the tour was big news. That's massive news. I did a full piece on that yesterday. You could go back and watch that video. That's on the channel, on the main page as well, everyone. So make sure you do watch that one. But that, I think, says everything with where United's plan is right now. It has to be in moving players on. It does. Almost at 500 live likes, everybody. Thank you so much, everyone, for the likes on the video already. Brilliant. Please give it a like if you haven't. Make sure that you do subscribe to Forever United TV as well. We keep you up to date with everything going on. I'm just going to have a quick scan over any potential news that might have just come out while we were live. To keep you completely updated on everything. It's pretty much the same. Interesting news there. Thomas Frank going after Eze. That will be an interesting one. No, nothing new just of yet in terms of Manchester United. Jadon Sancho may now be available at a lower price for Borussia Dortmund, but they're not alone in the race. Clubs from the Premier League, Serie A and Saudi Arabia are also showing interest this summer. Again, we covered Jadon Sancho plenty yesterday, but that's another story coming out this morning on Sancho. Borussia Dortmund coming back in. Manchester United look like they are lowering the price for Jadon Sancho as a transfer fee. I think they've accepted that this would be the best thing for United moving forward. If they sold him this summer, it just ends all of the drama. Rashford and Sancho, United are not going to make hardly any profit off at all. They're just off the books. That's the desperation stakes that we're in right now. And unfortunately, through no fault of the current management team and people that are doing the jobs at Manchester United, like Berardi, Wilcox, Vivel, all of these people, Ruben Amorim, no fault of theirs, they're having to deal with this mess from before. And United, looking at what they've got and what options they've got, it is clearing the books. It's breaking even. That's all this is. Breaking even at the moment. And PSR then opens up different windows for different players. That's where United's finances are at. It's not like making massive profit at the moment. How can you make profit on Manchester United players that are the worst in this club's history? Is the question that should be asked. And that, I think, is how other clubs are looking in at Man United right now. How can you even want this much money for this player? Have you seen how badly he's performing? That's the line of questioning that's coming in, I think, to United. It's virtually impossible to make any money at all, as in pure profit. Garnacho is the only one that will get Manchester United any significant value at all this summer. Everybody else is clearing what's already been paid. That's it. But that still goes a long way for United. And the importance of what Sir Jim said, now it's about recruitment. You're losing these players. You're not making much profit on them. They're clearing the books. And then recruitment in bringing players in, pretty much in line with what we're already paying now. So when I say that Manchester United owe 300 million in previous transfers, these all get paid off. And that money goes down. But then that money will go up again because we're buying new players. But the difference is you're looking at 300 to 400 million pounds worth of previous transfers on players that are doing a job for United in taking us back up to the top of the Premier League. That's the difference. Right now, we're looking at what? 300 million pounds worth of debt on previous transfers. Jadon Sancho, Antony, Rasmus, Onana, Mason Mount. That's that 300 million. That's that there. Casemiro, Lisandro Martinez. These are the transfers that are costing Manchester United approximately 90 million in instalment payments a season. That's that 300 million. So, if you replace Mount, if you replace Rasmus, Onana, Sancho, Antony, if you replace these players with better players and you've still got the same debt, you've got a better chance of earning more money because them players are actually properly recruited players that are going to take Manchester United forward. That's the difference. You're not looking to make absolute fortunes here. We're not doing a Brighton. We're in no position to do a Brighton or a Bournemouth or a Brentford making massive amounts of money. That's not where United are. We're having to start from scratch and completely restructure everything because we've been so shit. That's what United's problem is right now. We have been diabolical in the transfer window. It has been an absolute shit show. And now we are in recovery mode. And that's what we have to accept this season. So good deals are at a premium and good deals are a bonus for Manchester United this summer. Like Mbeumo and Cunha, going back to that, just think we are lucky to be getting players of that quality in right now. That's good business for Manchester United. It really is. Because you're pretty much getting a guarantee. Oh, the other transfers, you're not. You're really not. So I think the reality for a lot of Manchester United fans, where we want things to move forward quickly, they're just not. They're just not going to go quick. We do have time. And at the end of the day, it's like Mbeumo. Like everyone's worrying. By the way, the story on Mbeumo right now, I forgot to mention that earlier on. There's a lot more going around saying that we are now very, very close to getting this deal done. There was a few more stories come out and a few more reporters talking about it yesterday. Mbeumo is now getting very, very close. That is the stories that is circulating on him. So once he is done, like we just need to look at that and go, wow, I feel like that is really good business. And if Manchester United get this deal done for Bryan Mbeumo and it turns out to be a lot cheaper than what people are talking about, which is why United is still negotiating right now, have we got a problem with that? No. It's like getting a deal done quick. We bought Mason Mount quick. There you go, Chelsea, there's 55 million. Yay, we got the deal done quick. Now look at where we're at. I'd rather be doing a deal for Mbeumo over the space of a month, making sure that the deal was done properly and we got a decent price, proper structured deal, than what we did with Mason Mount. I mean, that is farcical. Absolutely farcical from Manchester United. So, yeah, give me a Bryan Mbeumo drawn out over 4 weeks transfer all day long to what we've done before. Because that's what we're dealing with now and why we're having to scrape the barrel in trying to find the best deals that we can for our players because they are not good enough. And the recruitment was completely... I'm not going to swear again in the morning, but you know what I mean. You know where I'm at with it. That pretty much finishes our show up, everybody. Thank you so much. We've had a ton of likes in there as well, creeping up to the 600 mark. Manny quickly with his super chat at the end there, but he's a World Cup winning bozo, as in Martinez. Yes, he is. He's a quality keeper. Look, Martinez will come at the right price if something happens with Onana. That's the story. Look, he wants to come, like many players want to come to Manchester United. Doesn't mean it's always going to happen. I would love Martinez at Manchester United. He's not going to be signed by us for 40 million. No, that's clear. That is clear. We've got to make moves first before that happens. Kudus is a target for United. They got competition from Chelsea. I don't know why we're even in for him or why we're even looking at him. Go out and buy a striker. That's my point of view on that. I think that's what Ruben needs. Rashford to Newcastle. That was a good move for him. That clears Man United a big debt. And obviously Sancho is starting to bubble in. Now looking like we could see Borussia Dortmund sneak back in again for him. Give me all of your thoughts on all of that, everybody, from this morning's show. That's you completely up to date with everything going on. I'll be fully updating you throughout the day, as always, when anything drops. And please do make sure you've got that bell notification on after hitting that subscribe button. Please, you will know when the content is announced, because when we hit the content, then we are going to be bringing you news as well. Thank you, everybody. Mods, fantastic job as always. I love you all. Have a great day. I'll see you in a bit. Like, share, subscribe.